Alright guys, today we're going to talk a little bit about the MK-18 made by Daniel Defense. Chambered in .223. This is a direct impingement rifle. Some of the issues you get with that, it's going to be dirty. It kicks gas back at you some. This is a fast shooting gun though. I've had no issues with that. Some people talk about the issues with a short barrel rifle like this not being able to keep up the faster you shoot, but I've had no issues with that thing. This thing just flies. So I've added a few things to this. That's a 10.5-inch gun, so I threw a short suppressor on it, and I've had no issues with it. I love it. It's not the greatest for decibel reduction, but it does what it's supposed to do. Makes things a lot quieter. So we got the Trijicon MRO optic, and I added a Radian Raptor charging handle. The Radian is actually ported to help with that gas blowback and direct it away from the end user's face. Kind of honestly a super great ad. Not cheap, but totally worth the money on the thing. It's also got a Geisley single stage in there that I added to it. Makes it even that much faster. Some of the issues I do run into with this versus my M4 that I run, that's a gas gun, I do get a little bit more raise when I'm firing this gun. It's not anything abnormal, but spending a lot of time on the M4 and then coming down to the DI gun, you certainly feel that raise. But awesome gun. This thing shoots great. It's got a heavy quad rail up front. It kind of helps to compensate with some of that. It's actually a lot heavier than it looks for such a short little gun. But yeah, we're going to run this a bit today. We'll do a couple different stages of fire, just kind of showing this thing in its natural habitat. We're going to run it hard and we're going to run heavy. And we're also going to talk about the Haley Strategic TRMP, the triple magazine placard that Haley Strategic kicked out. So this thing's awesome. It just depends who you are and what you're running it for, and we'll get into that a little bit more later. But if you're running heavy rifle, this thing's awesome. So it's got the capability to hold a full combat loadout. You can actually get 6 magazines in this thing. But in our actual magazine placard, or actual magazine holders here, we have a, it's kind of hard to see down in there. We'll have some still images for you guys too. But it's got Kydex inserts that are shaped like a V. So wherever you put that magazine down in there, it's going to squeeze it, and there's great retention. It also comes with these bungees attached to it for even more retention. You don't really need dual retention with this thing. I left one on just for video purposes, but you can pop them right off. It's super easy to pop them off. And I actually pulled the Kydex insert out of this one because I pop a tourniquet down into this one when I'm running it, or you can stow any other portion of your kit there. Another thing that I actually found interesting about this, one thing a guy looks for is a place for gear management, not just your loadout, but also your gear management. So it's hard to see from there, but on these, the elastic on the front, it's stretchy elastic, and you can actually stow kit up in the front too. The center one is sewed shut at the bottom, so you can't actually get all the way through with it, but these other two will go straight through. So in theory, a guy could pop a magazine in there for your handgun, for your secondary, or you can stick another full-sized AR-15 magazine in there. And the retention's not terrible, but the only issues I kind of ran into, I've been running this thing pretty hard. The elasticity is going to start to wear out if you're running this thing over and over and over again. You know, inserting and pulling magazines out of there, you're going to start running into issues wearing out that elastic. I just ran through a 3-day rifle instructor course with this, and I didn't notice any massive deficiencies. That's just one thing I did notice. It probably over time would start to take place. But if you're somebody who runs rifle heavy, this is a great option for you. If you're basic patrol operator or a basic patrol officer on the streets, probably not the setup for you. Made more so for a gunfighting setting. So we're going to go ahead and throw some rounds. We'll see what we think of it. We'll see if we can get some reloads through it and see what it's looking like. Thanks, guys. All right, first thing we're going to do with it today, we have a dual target engagement. We're going to go a failure drill. So 5 to the body, 1 to the head, 5 to the body, 1 to the head, each target. So that's going to be our first course of fire downrange here. God, it's pretty smooth. You're able to keep that in the AC zone for sure. At this range, we're not far. We landed all those shots in the A zone. We had good full caliber head hits there. Slight hiccup on the Geisley. That's user error. That's not the firearm. Cadence got thrown off a little bit. That Geisley's definitely fun, and if a guy's not ready for it, it'll surprise you. That's slick. So I was planning on only doing 1 mag change there, but you know, why not? Why not throw another one in there? No issues at all there. Retention's easy. Indexing is amazing on this thing. So as your magazines generally sit, in some placards, the issues I've had is getting that index when we're reaching down for our magazine so we can set ourselves up for that clean reload. The spacing here is really nice to where you're not running into that problem of having to try and cram your finger between the two magazines as you're coming out with it. And re-retention itself would be great as well. If you're running a gun and you got to perform that tactical magazine change, you can keep your eyes down range as you sit there, and you can perform that tack reload, and you can it's easy to just pop it in there as you're keeping your eyes down range. But overall, I'm impressed with it. The only issues I could maybe even foresee that I had thought I would foresee would be laying prone and shooting prone with it. We tested that out in the rifle school I was running. The reloads are actually coming out smooth too, since you have that Kydex insert, not all your body weight is down on top of that, and you're still able to get that magazine out. Without that Kydex, that might be an issue. Like I had mentioned before, potentially could see some issues with the nylon losing a little bit of that elasticity. This system is a real simple system to set up too for your kits. It's a simple G-hook swift clip system that I've set up on mine. So if you're running multiple different kits, so you have different roles in your department, you're a breacher, you're a sniper, you're an entry guy, whatever it may be, this pops right on and right off. If I need to toss on my breaching placard, it's as simple as 2 clips and some Velcro. And it pops onto most carriers, like I'd mentioned before, with the G-hook swift clip, something you can find just about anywhere. Fairly universal way to don and doff the system. I got nothing but good things to say about it. That being said, we'll talk a little bit about the potential role you have at your department or whatever it is that you do. If you're somebody who just likes to go shoot rifle, I think this thing would be right up your alley. If you work in law enforcement and you're just a standard patrol officer, I don't think this is for you necessarily. If you happen to have a carrier set up to where you can don and doff quickly, this may be an option for some type of active shooter incident if you have that precious time to toss this thing on and head in there with a full combat loadout versus what you just standard carry on your guys' kit. If you guys are working in somewhat of a SWAT element, this could be something for you as well. That being said, like I'd mentioned, dependent upon your role. If you're a guy who's running heavy M4, you're an entry guy, that's your primary loadout is that. This could be something for you. If you're reloading handgun off of your chest, that's one issue too. This does eat up a lot of real estate. If you're at an apartment that's wearing body cams, another issue you got to look up. This thing eats pretty much 95% of your real estate up. So a lot of guys who are running belt magazine or belt reloads for their magazines, something you can look at here. Just know going into it, there are those little issues of where am I going to put the rest of my stuff at. So military guys, I can't speak to that. That's a whole other world. This thing was designed specifically for that world. It's got a great application in law enforcement, just dependent upon one's mission set. So a big thumbs up from me. I appreciate Haley sending one out for us to run. Unfortunately, got to send this one back to them. But yeah, big thumbs up for me. Quality made product too. Very, very well made product, well thought out product. Let's talk about the Daniel defense a little bit. So the only issue I had today was operator error. My bad lever was getting a little bit loose, and you probably have seen some of that in some of my reaction to that. But this gun runs hard. It runs dirty though, so cleaning this thing is paramount. These things do not like to be dirty. This thing likes to be well lubricated and clean. It's just the same as any other DI gun. It's not just specific to the Daniel defense in any way, shape, or form. So compared to a gas gun, you know what you're getting into there. If you're a guy who runs a gas gun, you know the cleaning process is not going to be that intensive compared to running the DI gun. So the slight bit of raise that I do get off of the muzzle compared to my M4 is noticeable. It is something that, when I bump back and forth between the two, I do feel it a lot more on the Daniel defense than I do on my PWS M4. Once again, that's something that one can overcome. I was running the hell out of this gun today, and I've had this for a minute, so I've been running this gun pretty hard. If you spend some serious time on this gun, it's not something you notice, but when you go from one platform to another, you're always going to see little differences. So I've enjoyed this gun since I purchased it. It's still a fun gun to run. It spends a lot of time in the gun safe, unfortunately, but 2 quality products. I forgot to mention, you got to give Faro Concepts a shout out. I got the Faro Concepts Slingster. Great piece of equipment. If you're running a Magpul sling, do yourself a favor, go buy a Faro Concepts Slingster. It's wonderful, a lot less cumbersome, a whole lot easier to operate, very user friendly. It's a QD setup as well. And yeah, if you're running a 1 point, quit being weird and jump into a 2 point. If you're running a 3 point, I don't know what to tell you. But thanks guys, appreciate you watching the video. Give me a like, give me a share. Have a good one.